thank you for coming. The third event, and I think the most well attended so far. So I hope you're all enjoying the food and the wine. Absolutely thrilled to be back here at the Menier Gallery. We love it here, and there's always such great exhibitions going on. I'd like to thank our hosts, Paintings in Hospitals, and I will be introducing Stuart to say a couple of words in a few minutes. My name is Sue Hall. I work for Jonathan Bailey, who are healthcare architects in the Big District, and I'm Business Development Director there. My other role is Chair of the Better Bankside Business Club, and it's through this initiative that we run this annual event. So it's quite well established now, third year going. It's changed the format slightly a bit this year, but I'm really pleased to see so many of you here. I can't tell you. It really sort of represents real interest from our members, and that's what we try to do, give value to our members. We do have three prominent businesswomen here this evening. From far right here, Monica, Ali next to me here, and Melanie at the end of the table. I'm going to ask them all to speak in shorter, but I'll introduce them a bit before they speak. But before we go any further, if I could ask Stuart Davey, who's Director of Paintings in Hospitals, just to say a few words about the Menier Gallery and Paintings in Hospitals. Stuart, thank you.
Thank you, Sue. And I'd like to actually start by welcoming everyone to the gallery. Paintings in Hospitals has been in this site for just on 4 years, although the charity has been operating since 1959. We're very pleased to actually have a fairly diverse programme of activities within the gallery, and the exhibition you see here today is just one of a number of events and activities we have during the year. The charity Paintings in Hospitals has a remit to improve health and well-being of patients in hospitals and healthcare sites. So our organisation has a picture loan collection which we make available really to any healthcare site across the country. Currently the collection stands at 4,500 artworks, and about 76% of that is on display at any one time. So if anyone's interested about the charity, please come and see me or Beth at the end of the night. And again, thank you for attending.
Thank you, Stuart. And just before we proceed with this evening's proceedings, I'm going to introduce one other person, but can I just ask everyone to make sure their mobile phones are turned off or onto silent? And I hope you've all seen the note, the door in the corner is where the loos are, if anybody needs to rush out in the middle of anything this evening. So I'm now asked to introduce Paris from Brand Revelation. Where's Paris? Ah, there you are.
Hello to everybody. I'm Paris, and I represent Brand Revelations. So we are hospitality and event management. So we are hosting the exhibition. So you probably looked and wondered, some of them at the pictures. It's full circle exhibition and it's presented by Rotary International. What all is about is the life or the story of a polio survivor who actually goes back to his birthplace in India, and he takes picture and also try obviously to immunize the children against polio. So if you wonder about, if you have any more question, all the literature is on the tables behind, and the rest have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Paris. Okay, so if we start this evening's events, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Monica. I know you're all going to give her a great big welcome, but I'll just tell you a little bit about her. Monica's Polish, and she's a good friend of mine, and she started her professional career in advertising and ended up in the construction industry and has just gone from strength to strength and opened Sunrise Corporation construction company with her brother here in London. Just over a year ago now, about 15 months. And I have to say this, 2 of the projects she's working on are actually featured in November's issue of Grand Designs. Okay, Monica's going to share with us about how to discover who you are and how to manifest that in your business. If we can save Q&As until all the speakers have finished, that would be great. So would you like to welcome Monica, please?
Hello, everybody. We tend to do the business in exactly the same way. We just provide a service, product, and the same, just cheaper. The businesses which are actually completely successful are the unique businesses. And that's our differentiation point in marketing, the best marketing tool in the big ocean of same business. The truth is that there is not a single person in the world which is absolutely the same. Our DNA is different. We cannot find anybody who is exactly the same as we are. So why do we do the business in exactly the same way? The true strength which everybody has certain particular talent, just the way we are. And this is, I'm so nervous. This is actually what makes people inspired, when they can work with a true person, with whoever is true person, and they can see the spark in their eyes. That's what makes them kind of tick. We do the business with people who we like and we trust. And if we are spending 10 hours of our life doing what we hate, it shows. And then we wonder why we are more and more disconnected emotionally and dead every day. Can I just, remind about two really, really big business people. Richard Branson, for example. That's what he says about the business. As I see it, entrepreneurship is something we are born with, because this is about turning what excites us in life into capital, so that we can enjoy it even more. And those are principles that I have informed my entire business career. He's the person who is not afraid to be who he is. He does stupid things, he does great things, he does crazy things. He doesn't care most of the time, unless PR people are telling him what to do. He is just himself, and that's actually the driving force who takes him further. Another person which I deeply, deeply admire is Anita Rodriguez. She created her business because what inspired the birth of Body Shop as my travel and the wealth of experience. I spent time in farming and fishing communities with pre-industrial people and been exposed to body rituals of women from all over the world. And I was wondering, why do we need to throw what we use? Why can't we refill it? Why can't we just do as my grandmother did in the Second World War? The foundation of Body Shop, Environment Activist, was born from ideas like this. And she was saying that the business have the power to do good. That's why the Body Shop's mission statement opens up with overriding commitment to dedicate our business to the pursuit of social and environmental change. We use our stories and our products to help communicate human rights and environmental issues. We do recognize those businesses immediately. We know them. We like them or we hate them, but we know them. We've got the ability to choose whether we are clients or not, but there are real people who are living to the fullest, and that represents in their business. And who we are, I don't think that most of the people are really spending enough time to discover who they are and what they really want to do. I think we spend 90% of our time just working to pay the bills, and we've got so much more to offer because the world requires and needs more people who are alive. And what makes us alive is do what we are really all about. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Monica. That's given us some food for thought. Right, so on to our second speaker of the evening, who is now going to be Ali Peppard. Now, I've actually had the pleasure of working with Ali, and it really is a pleasure, I have to tell you. We both had a stint at the NHS for our sins in another life. Ali is an experienced editor and writer, and her co-director, she started her own company now, and her co-director Matt is here in the audience supporting her. She founded UX Media, which is a digital agency with a difference, and she's going to tell us about that difference tonight and how they do challenging, mind-bending things, not just to their clients, but in the office as well. So, how to grow your business organically. Ali, take it away. I'd like to welcome.
Hi, as Sue said, my name's Ali and I'm one of the directors and founders of UX Media. UX Media has two strands. Primarily we work with both businesses and other agencies to involve end users in the web design and development process. We carry out qualitative and quantitative user testing activities, and then we report back on the obstacles that websites are facing in providing a good user experience at the end of the day. The second strand of our business enables us to offer a more holistic service. So we then provide web development at the end of it to sort of carry on and make those improvements if necessary. UX Media has been trading for about 1.5 years now, and we're very proud to work with household names such as B&Q, the Carnival Cruise Line Group and NHS Direct. I don't know how I got that here. Anyway, enough of the sales pitch. On to the interesting bit, I hope. Firstly, I need to admit to you that I don't claim to be a hard-nosed businesswoman or a risk-taking entrepreneur. I've been lucky enough during the course of my career to meet people that I can rely on and therefore trust, not only to help me create a sustainable and successful business, but also to help me, keep the faith in myself and the concept of my company. Without those people, I wouldn't have been able to demonstrate the bravery in business that a lot of people credit me with. The motivation for starting UX Media was threefold. Firstly, we had a real passion for our industry, a strong belief that digital services could be made better by involving people in their creation. Secondly, we wanted to work in an environment where our clients were part of our team and we were part of theirs. We'd spent too long as account executives in agencies when the sound of the phone ringing was just sort of, oh God, doom and gloom. That another client's going to be let down, promises are going to be broken, there's just a general lack of communication. And we wanted to prove how much we really did value our clients by working with them, not even for them and definitely not against them, because we're all working towards the same goals. And lastly, most importantly to me, we wanted to create an environment where people wanted to come to work and work with us every day, day in, day out. Like Monica said, you spend 10 hours of your day sometimes, every single day, sometimes 18 hours of your day, working with people in an environment, and we wanted to make that a good environment. And I think we've been successful in achieving those goals. It's been fraught with pitfalls, learning curves, as we like to call them, tough times and challenges, but when I see the queue of people waiting for an opening in our company, I know it's been very much worth the effort. I often self-assess my part in the success of UX Media and analyse whether my gender has contributed to it. And in honesty, I do believe that as a woman I have a more honed emotional intelligence than a lot of my male counterparts, particularly in the development industry. And this has played a substantial role in the environment we as a company have created. And because of this, our business and our offices are open, honest environments where everyone is allowed to be human, to make mistakes and to be supported in finding solutions to those mistakes, to have off days without being penalised for them, and ultimately to feel valued for their input. This human-centred approach to business not only strengthens our internal working practices and provides good conditions for invention and innovation, but it also extends to our clients, which was one of the reasons we wanted to do this in the first place. They feel valued as partners and ultimately involved in the process of improving their internal tools and their customer-facing tools. There's no doubt that given our client list, UX Media began punching above its weight almost from the beginning. I put this down to a wise observation passed on to me by someone who's since become a mentor and a really good friend of our company. And it's this: people buy from people. 4 little words that I never forget. And when I'm immersed in the horrors of cash flow crises and sales forecasting issues, I force myself sometimes to stop and step back and remember that UX Media, my company, will always focus on providing value over profiteering. Because those are the values that myself and my business partner started out with. And you know what? Sometimes that means we make more profit than we thought we were going to. In past roles for other agencies and other companies, I've seen them suffer the harshest of penalties for mistakes that we all make every now and again. But because our clients are bought into our company and feel part of its success, we're often, well, I say not often, but occasionally forgiven for human errors. Organic growth relies on making a success of several factors, and I'm the first to raise my hand and say we haven't quite made it yet. For example, we'd like to concentrate more on product development and reselling, and sort of achieve that profiteering aspect of it. But our commitment to our clients' projects has kind of prevented us from moving too far down that path. What we do concentrate on is invention and innovation, and we try hard to support our team in achieving personal and work successes. This can cost in terms of time and resource, but it's well worth the commitment. We are surrounded every day by a highly talented and ever-evolving dedicated team who are almost as determined to see our business thrive and succeed as we are. An example of this is 50% Friday, or 50% Friday as it's now been dubbed. Our clients are all aware that at midday, every single week on a Friday, UX Media is only open to them for urgent issues. We don't close it completely, it's just urgent issues. And I have to say, sometimes they're far too focused on finishing up for the weekend to even care. The whole afternoon is then given over to the team to do with as they like, well, within reason. It could be a personal project, some reading they want to catch up on, or a bit of team bonding. But whatever they decide to do, they're free from client calls, from deadlines, and from constant requests from us. As a result, we've seen some wonderful innovation emerge. And I'm going to give you an example. Wayne's one of our junior web developers. He's taught himself, basically, Flash, how to code in Flash, which is a skill he didn't have when he came to us. And with 50 Friday, he's managed to create a potentially quite commercial Flash-based game. Another example is one of our account executives, Marie, who began sort of on the web development side of things, managing our client accounts, and has now really immersed herself in the user experience side of what we do. And she spends her half a day on Friday really immersing herself in sort of the latest theories and practices in usability. And now she threatens to sort of, overthrow Matt and I with what she knows and her sort of level of knowledge, which is slightly scary. We build the team in other ways too. We've got a regular bank of contract suppliers, people we've worked with before, people we trust. We don't use agencies. And we involve them in our team building exercises too, so anyone that comes to work from our office already feels like part of the team, whether they're there for 2 days or 3 weeks. I have to say our team building exercises often involve quite a lot of drinking and eating rather than paintballing or anything like that, which is, I think, an indictment of our team. There are drawbacks, of course, to creating this kind of working environment. I sometimes feel my role as director plays a poor second place to my roles as social worker, therapist, general shoulder to cry on, and tea maker. Personnel and HR issues are, as a result, absorb quite a lot of my time, much more than I'd ever accounted for when I started this business. Not that I'd swap UX Media for all the tiramisu in Italy. I'm not a morning person by any stretch of the imagination, but I can honestly say that I wake up every day and I look forward to going to work, and I'm pretty sure that the rest of my team do too. That's it from me.
Thank you, Ali. Now, you can't go and work for her. She said there's a queue, all right? Okay, now on to our last speaker of the evening, Melanie. Melanie's going to tell us about her journey. It's been an interesting one, especially because her Myers-Briggs profile says she shouldn't even be in business in the first place because of personality she's got. But she's going to tell us how to use some of the qualities that she possesses as a woman and how they've helped her on her journey. So Melanie, over to you.
Hi everyone. I've always been tall, and I've always had a big personality. When I was born here in London, and my mother moved us from Switzerland, and we moved subsequently to Canada, explaining the accent. However, when I moved to Canada, I had a British accent, a Cockney accent, really, from Tottenham. And my first report card in school, when I was in kindergarten, told my mother that I was an antisocial child, didn't want to speak to anyone, and really I should probably take classes, English as a second language classes, so that I could learn the Canadian elocution and fit in with my classmates as I was hiding in the corner and crying and not speaking to anyone. So my mother stromped, I would say, down to school and talked to my teachers, talked to my principals. I say talk, but really, I don't know, never seen mothers on a warpath, more like a mother-cub kind of thing, a mother situation. She stromped down to our school and she basically yelled at my principals, yelled at my teachers, said that I came from one of the best educational institutions, from one of the best countries in the world, and there is no way that her child needs to go into English as a second language. So I changed over to the afternoon kindergarten class, and my life changed, really. I am the shortest member of my family. My family is quite out there. They're quite tall, musical, dramatic. So between my family, there are other actors, actresses. They are musicians with, multiple album releases, songwriters, on TV constantly. And that's hard because I chose to go into drama. And then drama didn't really make me enough money for my student loans, and I decided to go and work for the bank. It's hard being at the bank when you have a personality like mine. Even though I was a child when I started there, I also I had finished modeling and dancing and drama, and so I knew about making an impact. But at the bank, I had to learn how to tone that down. So even though the title of my speech is Too Loud for Business, I wouldn't say that it's entirely accurate as a title. I want to talk to particularly women today because I think that I've just never heard in all of my encounters men being called too loud. I've never heard a man being called too loud in all of my business affairs. I've heard him be, maybe someone can call him full on, but too loud, aggressive, abrasive, obnoxious. Usually those are the things that women particularly get if they have a strong voice or a strong personality. And so what I want to talk to you particularly about today is not about the loudness of your voice, but more so about the impact of your voice and the strength of the message and exactly what you're trying to achieve. One of my mentors, he told me that I should organize my life as a company. So first create the vision, then make the strategy, then look at the structures that will support the strategy into the vision, and then finally look at the people that are going to feed into that. And so I had to look at what the strategy for my life was. And what I learned was that I cannot only think about just being heard. I can't only think about getting the message across. There's no point in sending a carrier pigeon who has a broken wing. I have to make sure that everything that I say has impact, that it actually gets the job done. And so if I'm too loud, then really I've already automatically offended or alienated the people who I want to make impact with, who ultimately I want to get the job done. And that comes from the philosophy of trying to live passionately, because I want to be able to 100% enjoy and love everything that I do. So even if I don't necessarily like working at the call center, I saw working at the call center as the path to getting the industry experience, to working there for 10 years, to moving into consulting. So maybe it wasn't the most enjoyable thing, but I was able to live that passionately and able to see that there is an end goal, and therefore what am I doing with the tool or the weapon that I call my voice. So I moved here to London. I think that as British public, I think that we can honestly say that Americans and Canadians are lumped into that. We generally have more of a, I think there's a reputation for being more out there, and me coming into financial services here in the UK, I really had to just tone everything down. The things that I was allowed to say, the things that I was allowed to do, I could not do it in this country. And so again, I acquired another mentor, a dear friend who used to work with me at IBM, and I watched him. And he was my mentor because he was exactly opposite to me. He was soft-spoken, and he hardly spoke, but when he did speak, everyone had to stop and listen because he hardly spoke. So there is a measured there is a measurement, I guess, that you have to look at when you are speaking. And he taught me that, you know what, Mel, even though you are well-spoken, I am well-read, I would say, so that means that I was able to get a grasp of vocabulary to be able to express myself properly without offense to others. And that's very important in terms of using your voice as a weapon, or a tool and not a weapon. You were laughing. But then he did say to me, you know what, Mel, you have to look at who is listening. You have to watch them, you have to empathize with them, and you have to be able to sit in their shoes. And what that means really is to take a step back, and in order to listen, you have to shut up. So I need to look at the people, look at how they communicate with others, what comfortable space they're in when they are communicating well, and then be able to transmit that across to them, back to them, because then that's when the message is more easily received. So in terms of my message being too loud for business, I would say it's not about being too loud, it's about being passionate. And being passionate means that you want to get something done. And that means, are you doing it in the best fashion? And so that's what I talk to little girls about, particularly, especially because we're either too loud or we're too quiet and we're not getting these things right. It seems that communication, looking at communication, women just get, they get analyzed a whole lot more in the business world than men do, particularly in the way they dress. So if there's no way I'll wear a suit. I was trying to wear a suit for you tonight, and I was like, you know what, I haven't worn a suit to see the CEO of Santander, there's no way I'm wearing a suit. Or an evening in London with wine with Sue Hall. But you do have to look at the way that you communicate to people and your whole life, and the way that you walk down the street, the way that you speak to people, that is a communication tool in itself. And so when I say too loud for business, I don't necessarily just speak about my voice, I speak about everything that you see in front of you, including the way that I dress, the way that I comb my hair, and the shoes that I wear. And so those are the questions I expect to answer tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. In fact, I'm impressed you'd agree to sit next to me, actually, because normally when we do go out, she wants to sit far away because she ends up laughing all the time otherwise. So whatever message I'm giving out is, where she's done her analysis of me.
Hello, my name's Francine Curry and I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Business Link in London. When I was asked to talk today, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to talk to you guys about. I thought we could maybe talk about the credit crunch, or I could tell you about what's happening in Business Link in London and some of the activities we have going on. But Sue asked me to talk to you about some of my personal experiences and share with you some of the things that have happened to me in my life. As you will be able to hear and tell, I'm a Cockney. I left school with a bunch of O-levels, no real plan really of what I was going to do in my career, and I really just took a bunch of jobs that ended up resulting in a career but with no real aim. I've spent lots of my career with people telling me how lucky I am to travel, how lucky I am to have the job I've got, wow, how lucky you are to have that life. I like to say it's not luck, it's hard work and making choices. Those choices do mean I've had to sacrifice certain things in my life. I don't work a 37-hour week, I do work weekends, and for me personally I've delayed having a family because of those choices. I strongly believe you cannot have it all, and it drives me mad when I see in the media these stories that say women can have it all. For me, I think it's about making the right choices for you personally and really trying to balance and juggle all those things in your life. I've spent most of my working life in traditional male working dominated environments. I started at Lloyd's of London. I don't know if you know this building, hopefully you will. It's a tin building and it's affectionately known as the 1986 building, and that's the year it actually went up. It's in Leadenhall Market. It was my first job from school, and when I first started there, women weren't allowed to walk on the marble floor. In the building there's a huge marble floor where all the underwriters sit, and women weren't allowed to walk on the floor because their heels would make too much noise and be disturbing for mostly, the men in the room. Lloyd's is full of tradition. It's a 300-year-old institution, but they had some very strange things at Lloyd's. Men weren't allowed to wear brown suits, and to this day I've never known why. Women were strongly discouraged from wearing trousers, and you'll see today I'm in trousers, but they much preferred you to wear skirts. And the only mints that you could eat at Lloyd's at that time were mint imperials. It's a very strange world. I then went on to another insurance company, a company called United Friendly, and it was a company I loved, doing a job I loved. But at the same time, I had got married and divorced and then met a guy, but we had a very volatile relationship. And without going into all the details, I ended up living in a women's refuge. When I look back at this time, it was a dreadful time for me personally. I had no money, nowhere to live. I ended up with 2 black bags full of stuff and always looking over my shoulder. But for me, this is what I really do call lucky. A friend of mine knew Refuge, she introduced me to Refuge, and they really helped me get my life back on track. Now, I'm not here today to talk to you about Refuge in particular, but I do want to just stress what a wonderful job they do, both for women and actually men. And I can't sing their praises high enough. I still worked during this time when that happened to me, and I actually got promoted twice. And for me, work was always a safe pair of hands. It was always where I felt safe when my personal life probably wasn't, and I hid a bit at work. I then went on in my career to spend 15 years in IT outsourcing. I travelled all over the world. I worked for companies such as ABN AMRO, Standard Chartered Bank, British American Tobacco. And I managed very large contracts within those arenas. I made lots of choices, worked really hard, and I sacrificed a lot of my personal life because I had something to prove, a trait that I picked up at my time at the Refuge. This is the first time I've told an audience and shared anything about my personal life. It's literally taken me years to do this, and I wished I had the confidence to do it years ago. So if I can leave you just with a couple of thoughts, I really believe you make your own luck, and sometimes it's really hard work. I would ask that you try and watch out for people, the people you work with. A smile really does go a long way and can really mean a lot to someone, and I can say that from personal experience. And we all have different stories and different things to be proud of, and that makes us us. And I think we should celebrate that and really celebrate ourselves. So thank you for listening, and I hope to see you soon.